let's return to the leaked documents regarding Ukraine's spring offensive. Gary Tabak is the former head of NATO mission in Moscow and served here in Turkey between 2006 and 2008. He joins us now from Philadelphia in the U.S. Gary, good to speak to you again. So those leaked U.S. and NATO plans for a Ukraine offensive, possibly even this month, how damaging is that leak?
Well, it's very difficult to say, and I know that the news and reporters are very eager to make something out of it. But firstly, I think that offensive, when it's planned and how it is planned, is known maybe to 5 people in Ukraine and no more. So we don't know when the offensive is going to happen. To be honest, between you and I, even if I did know, I would not say it. So because part of it is, of course, is a surprise and where it's going to happen. About the leaked documents, of course, it's a very bad news. Secret documents, especially war documents, should not be leaked because lives of thousands and thousands of military people and civilian people depend on it, depend that we trust our governments, we trust our security forces to keep those documents secret. Now, again, it's very questionable what those documents represent, if they're true or if they're not true, if they've been tampered or they have not been tampered. War is part of the war effort, or part of the war success is smoke and mirrors. Sometimes documents are leaked for a certain purpose. Maybe they're not documents, maybe there's not a real, very often during World War II, they would get a killed officer, put some false documents on his body and throw him overboard. And the Germans or the Japanese would catch him and read those documents, think that they're real, but they were not. So we don't know what happened and why they leaked. Investigation should go on in the White House. If there is such a leaks in the Pentagon, they do happen. There are traitors. It happens all the time with everyone. So it should be investigated, should be corrected if it is true.
Yeah, hard to know what's real or not in this wartime situation. Gary, we talk a lot about Bakhmut, the fighting taking place there in eastern Ukraine. Both Russia and Ukraine want the city in particular. Why is it so important right now in this war?
Again, it's a very good question. Why is this? Why for so long they're fighting over it? Why Ukrainians are not willing to retreat and give it up? Great resources are being spent. We see Russians are mobilizing or preparing to mobilize another almost 500,000 of people, but yet they're not. They're starting to use more artillery rather than infantry in Bakhmut. Ukrainians are not willing to give it up. There is something about Bakhmut that both sides are interested in, maybe for a future offensive or counteroffensive, defending it. Clearly that when there is a smoke, there should be fire somewhere. And if you're in the news always talking about it, that there is something is going on. And my feeling is that the West is pushing Ukraine for a counteroffensive. They're pressuring Ukraine to continue and fight on to stop that stagnation at the front. But it also depends on how much weaponry the West is willing to provide for Ukraine and how fast it's going to happen. And maybe that document is also tied to it. But there is also an impression from different military leaders that we're going to give some weapons to Ukraine, tell them to go ahead, start the counteroffensive, and whatever you're going to gain from it, that's yours. Whatever you're not going to get free up, that's the Russians.
Okay.
And bring the war to the stop that way. Of course, that's not satisfactory to the Ukrainian or anybody in the free world.
Gary Tabak, good to have your analysis. Speaking to us there from Philadelphia. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.